Hey, good afternoon. It's Wednesday midweek update, and today's May the 11th. And so, notice, if you will, here's a daily chart of the S&P contract. And from the top, we look like it broke here for a while in a range of 46 by about 44 sideways. Started a range here 45 by about 42 sideways here for a while. This one looks like 43 by 4,000. Maybe it ends up becoming 3,900 like we've been talking about, but 43 by 4,000 now, like 39.5. So that's what we're dealing with right now. We're in a range here. We're at the lower end of the range, but we're in a range here. These 43 by, I guess you call it 39.5 or something now, from a higher time frame daily chart to start with. Then we come into today, and here's how we trade today. CPI report up around 40.50. That bounce came from 39.50. You got to remember that. 39.50, March of last year sometime highs. And then here we go where 39.50 bounces 100 points really swiftly the other day. Trades up 40.50. We're hanging up there on the CPI report, and it broke 100 handles back to 39.50. Right? It's crazy. Back and forth. 40.50, 39.50. Do well to remember that. Those are two really important levels. And so today, a little attempt failed with a lower high. Trades down into the lows today. Doesn't quite get down to 3,900, all right? And we're on the low of the move for the week, and it's Wednesday, so remember that. It could be very pivotal tomorrow. You want to be ready for this, whether it comes from just right here or a little bit lower. I mean, it could really be pivotal tomorrow. Let's start with our observation of where things can get slippery back to the upside, and that's above 39.50. Above 50 trades back to the mid VWAP of today, right here, closing swing high as well, about 35.87. That right there, to be honest with you, that's my real honest thought about what the over-under is for tomorrow. Because it's common a lot of times, and that should about be the daily pivot for tomorrow also. High, low, close, add, divide by 3. It's probably going to give you about an 87 or so for tomorrow daily pivot. But how do you get there? If you slip through this 50 right there, that's, well, it held until it finally didn't, just by a small measure today. Slip through there, back to ending session mid VWAP, and probably daily pivot there at about 87. Above there, you get back into, I believe anyway, you'll get back into like 40, 50, and 60 on the top, where the bid kind of ran out of gas yesterday from 39.50 up 100 to 40.5. So those would be targets. 50 slips to 87, can tap out and roll. Could. Slips through there, though, you're up into 40, 50, and 60, pretty quickly. And we want to also have reminder, and let's remember, what our targets are down here on the bottom in the event that we get a little more follow through tomorrow. You want to remember what those are. We've got two. 39.12 that we've been talking about. That's labeled as one of these old quarterly settlement prices. And then 38.87 is an old virgin or naked point of control that's not been tested since it was produced. And so that would be the just slightly the other side of 3,900 for a more precise kind of an X-Acto knife, kind of a to the letter target. When you speak in terms of generalities, you go, 3,900. But I mean, when you really want to know, like, what is it? Like, really fine tune it, It's 39.12 for that reason, old quarter print, which is a generality in and of itself because that's from an end of quarter. And then the precise, spot on point down there is 38.87, right? So you got your bearish targets, and you've got the fact that we're on the lows of the week for a Wednesday, so we get a little bit of further follow through tonight, and you got to get ready to see, very, very possibly, right? Ready to see this thing start to bounce back up into that range that we identified on that daily chart. That's a big range. It can easily start to retrace back up inside that range. And the levels I just gave you up here on the top side are for tomorrow. And if it gets rich like that tomorrow, where it really starts to threaten to start a short squeeze and run stops on the way back up, and the shorts start to cover, liquidate, etc., then on into Friday, you're looking up at those earlier in the week bullish targets that I gave you, 41.60 and 42.20. You're looking up there on a short squeeze if this thing starts to squeeze shorts and really catch a bid into the end of the week. Those would be your end of week upside bullish targets. So we got it pretty well laid out. There are a couple of really important prices here that you've got to really watch, and they are 39.50 and 40.50. They've been incredibly pivotal. You see how they work. Like yesterday, 39s trade up to 40.50s. And then and then on the CPI back down to 39.50, then back up to 40.50, and then back down to 39.50. I mean, it's been ping pong match back and forth between these two levels. So maybe 39.50 holds it. I doubt it. Trades up to 50. It trade up to the ending session mid VWAP and pivot or whatever. Slips back down through 39.50. You got overhead. You got overhead there at that point. As long as it's above it, then you got support, and you got to be looking up, at the 40.50s up there. Just follow the map, So hopefully that makes sense. I mean, you got upside and downside objectives. We're getting really close to that 3,900, that we've been talking about, and then I showed you on the daily chart where it's a pretty wide range, and we can easily start to bounce from somewhere in there back up to start to back and fill and explore back up inside that range, and it could be quite the short squeeze when that does start. So, all right, that's what I got for you. Good night, good trading. Be with you again next week. Take care.
Without simpler trading, I could not have financial independence.
This is one of the best investments I ever made in my life.
It's helping me find consistency. It's one of the things that won me